What are you willing to pay? What's the price? What are you willing to pay for success? It's a crazy question, but you realize that there always is going to be a price involved. Now, here's the thing. We can never see what that price tag is actually going to be. We don't know what is actually involved in achieving the success that we want. The only thing we really have to go on is knowing what we're willing to do right now, today, and knowing that we're going to have to do that a lot. Because when we're looking at the question of price, what are you willing to pay? We have to understand what type of currency we're actually using. And currency in this particular, for this particular question, comes in a lot of different forms. It comes in time, all of the different time that you have to put into something, meaning the days, the weeks, the months, the years of time that you have to invest, which means you can't spend that time somewhere else. You can't spend it watching TV. You can't spend it relaxing or sleeping or doing whatever it is you would do. Money. Money's also a big currency factor, and it determines what types of things that you can buy with it, whether that's going to be spending it on advertising, whether that's going to be spending it on ghostwriters or somebody to edit your stuff, somebody that you can delegate things out to, whether that's money that you're going to be spending on things that you don't want to have to do yourself. So it's going to involve money. That's also a big one for your education, because your education costs money, and it's a lot easier to just pay for the education rather than spending the time to acquire all of that knowledge yourself by trial and error. We have energy, just the energy that we have during the day. We have a limited amount, and depending on where you want to put it, determines what you're willing to spend that on. So are you willing to spend it on the things that matter the most to you, that move you forward? Or are you willing to spend that on things that really don't make much of a difference, like we were talking about yesterday? Are you willing to just focus it on a problem that there's really no good solution to, and it doesn't matter if the problem ever gets solved in the first place? Are you going to focus it on things of trying to get somebody to say they were sorry when it really doesn't matter, right? It's the energy that you have day to day and where you decide to spend that, whether that's spending it looking at your cell phone or whether that's spending it putting forth effort to get to where you actually want to be. Now, it doesn't end there. There's also work that goes in. The amount of work that you're going to actually put into something in order to be successful. And a lot of times people discount the volume of work that it's actually going to take to become successful, especially in the way that you want to be. Because when I first started out, I kind of thought, okay, I could do a video here and a video there. And you realize, yeah, that's great, but how badly do you want to get to where you want to be? To really be a big content creator and creating a volume of content. Because while you can create 1 or 2 videos a week, somebody else out there is really willing to create 10 to 12 videos a day, right? Just the comparison between the two. One person is going to grow exponentially faster than the other just by virtue of the volume that they're putting in. And sometimes volume is way more than you think it's going to be. You think you're doing a lot. I heard I forget who this was. I heard a story the other day where some guy, he was building his business and he was sending out flyers. So he was using flyers as a method of generating leads to build his business. And he did 300 flyers in a day. And then he was sitting there going, nobody's calling me. Like, nobody said anything. I've heard crickets. I haven't heard anybody. And so he talked to his mentor and he said, hey, I put out 300 flyers and I haven't gotten any response. And the guy just laughed and he was like going, 300 flyers? Like, that's nothing. Like, we don't even consider it a test if it's less than 500 flyers. And we're putting out like 500 flyers a day. It was something to where the comparison between 300 flyers one time and another guy who's putting out 1,000 flyers a month. It's insane. You realize the comparison was completely skewed. But when you see it and you think, wow, I put out 300 flyers a day, that's a lot. You realize, well, compared to what? And realizing that the volume you're going to have to put in is probably a lot more than you would ever even think. Sacrifice is another currency we're talking about. Because realize you're not always going to be able to do what it is you want to do. Sometimes you're going to have to give up one thing in order to do another. Whether that is you've got a new speaking engagement, but you also have your kid's soccer game. Which one are you going to pick? Sometimes it's not just black and white. You kind of look at it and say, oh, this is going to create a lot of sacrifice. I'm going to really need to sacrifice what I want to do with what I have to do. Because sometimes it's not always easy of just going, yeah, sure, I'll do anything. It doesn't matter. I'm willing to do whatever I've got to do to be successful. And that's great until you realize the idea of sacrifice. That you're not always going to want to do the thing that you have to do, but you're going to have to sacrifice what you want to do if you truly want to be successful. There's going to become a lot of those times where you have to pick one over the other. There's just no way around it. And then last but not least is your attention. Believe it or not, your attention is a currency. And where your attention goes, that's where the action is going to be taken. So if your attention is to social media and you're just scrolling through videos, right? That's where your energy is going to go. And it's going to take your energy. It's going to take your time. It's going to take a lot of the effort and a lot of the focus that you have away from doing what it is that you know you should be doing or what's going to move you forward. Make no mistake about it. Your attention is a currency. And where you give it, that's going to determine where your energy goes. It's going to determine where your focus goes. It's going to determine where your time goes. So where you grant your energy to is going to make an incredible impact on how successful you can be and how quickly you're going to get there. Now let's go back to our original question. How much are you willing to pay? Now this question in and of itself presupposes that there's a limit that you're willing to pay. For some people, they say, you know what? I'm willing to do anything. I don't care what it takes. I'm willing to give everything that I have to get my goal, which is fantastic until you're required to give that. And then that becomes the real answer on what you're willing to pay, what you're willing to give, what you're willing to go through. Because it's not always going to be as easy as you think. It's not as easy as just saying, well, here you go, and that's it. It requires the mental sacrifice. It requires the physical sacrifice. It requires a lot more than you would think. So what's the limit that you're willing to pay? And this is good to ask this question. What are you willing to say no to? What are you absolutely not willing to do what are you not willing to do in regards to you getting the success that you want? Where is that limit? Where is that boundary that you're going to draw your line? What boundary is it that if you stepped over that, it would make everything you got not as valuable as you would want it to be? For some people, that's spending time with their children, which is huge because they're only going to be this age once and they grow up really fast. So the question is, are you willing to take away time with your kids for your own success? Are you willing to take time away from your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend in order to achieve that success? In some instances, the answer is yeah, you need to. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be fun, but it's what needs to be done. And when that thing that comes and it needs to be done, and it needs to be done by you, are you willing to sacrifice that time? Are you willing to take that step and make the tough choice? But coming back to it, for some people, that's a no-go. That's saying, if I did all of that stuff, that would be great, and I might make millions of dollars. But what good is that millions of dollars if my family leaves me? If I'm coming home to an empty house every single night because they just couldn't take it anymore. I was just never around. They never saw me. I saw a I saw a TV show the other day, and this guy is the deputy director for the FBI. And so, really high level position. He's consulting with the president. He's or I'm sorry, not the FBI, the CIA. So, big time position. And you see in the show that he has a very uneven relationship with his family. You can tell that his kids are not are not really excited to see him. And they're not excited to see him, as you would guess, because he's never around. He's always busy. He always has something he's got to do. He's always got work that he has to take care of first. And there shows this scene where the kid is at his football game and dad shows up. He's finally there. And the kid turns around, he sees him, and dad waves. He's like, hey. And the kid's like waves back, and you can see just a smile on his face. He's so excited that his dad's there. And then in true fashion, the phone rings. Yeah, what's going on? Hey, we need you. Super high level security issue just happened, and we need you here in the office. He says, all right, I'm on my way. Like without hesitation, I'm on my way. Boom. He makes that hard call, and his job takes precedence. And then his kid looks back and realizes, where did dad go? He just got here to see my game, and now he's gone. And then you see dad try and call up his son later on and say, hey, son, I'm really sorry. Some stuff happened. And his son's like, yeah, I know, whatever. It always does. So that becomes the question of saying, what is it going to be for you? What price is worth it? And what price is not? Where are you drawing the line? Because as you're taking action every single day, getting just a little bit better, as we're working on this 90-day goal, we need to really be honest with ourselves on what's important and what we're willing to do to get it versus all of the other things that are not important to us, that we're not willing to do. So I encourage you right now to write out a list of the things that you are not willing to do. Where are the boundaries that you're going to have in the success journey that you want? Whether that's in building a business, whether that is in losing weight, whether that is in developing a better relationship, whatever it is. What boundaries have you set up that they're not worth crossing? And it's important that you set these up right now and think about it. Because when you just got a blank check that just says, I'm willing to do anything, doesn't matter what, that's great. But you will be called on to do a lot of things that you might not want to do. That might not be the best for you, that you might end up regretting. And you want to know what those are to begin with. You want to know where the lines are drawn, because it makes it a lot easier for you to start making decisions based on saying, these are the things I will do for success. This is the price I'm willing to pay. And saying, this is the price I'm not willing to pay. These are my boundaries. So you want to set it up on both sides so you know exactly what you're willing to do and how far you're willing to go. Don't think that you have to be like somebody else thinking, well, they're willing to go above and beyond. They're willing to do all the things I'm not willing to do. True, they might be. And yet, they're not you, and you're not them. So you have to make the decisions that are going to sit the best with you. Not the things that lead you to regret later on down the line of whatever way that goes. Whether you regret that you didn't put more time and more effort into it, or whether you regret the things that you did that you wish you had something now that you don't. So start thinking about this. What is the price you're willing to pay? Because this is going to come up again and again. And it might not be this obvious, which is why I wanted to talk to you about it now. So you start looking at what's truly important to you and what's not as important and where you want to draw the line. Because this journey that you're on, it's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be cherished and help you grow. It's not meant to be something that causes you unbelievable pain later on in life. So I want you to do that. Write down the things that you're willing to do. And more importantly, write down those boundaries that you have, the things that you're not willing to do, and commit to those. Because when you commit right now on the things that you are willing to do and the things that you're not willing to do, it starts giving you some more lane to try to make sure that you don't go out of some more guardrails, that make sure that you can become the person that you want to be, and make sure that you enjoy the journey along the way, because it's going to be exciting, and because you deserve to be able to enjoy that journey. So write those things down, and I hope that is really going to start giving you some ideas on things you can start doing and start pushing yourself forward, as well as some things that you say, other people are willing to do it, not me. I'm drawing that line right there. So it brings the joy and the excitement back into your life. So I will see you here tomorrow, and I know you're going to be here because I know I'm going to be here. So until tomorrow, have an awesome day and take action now.